So this is really exciting for me because there are a lot of firsts in this room. A lot of firsts. I was the first Dynamo instructor in Canada, and my first Dynamo instruction is actually sitting at the end here from Adamson Architects, Tino's crew over there. I have a whole bunch of people who worked in my very first architectural firm that are in here. So this is awesome to see. And I'm glad to see this community happening because back in 2012 when I started using Dynamo, it was just by freak accident because one of our partners was like, why is it taking so long to put tags on our drawings? I was like, I don't know. It's something that we got to figure out. So back when Dynamo, you had to actually install it as an add-in, and searching for nodes was easy-ish, and it became a little bit of a task. So we dug deeper, dove into the intricacies of this, and now that I'm up here, I'm going to introduce myself, I guess. So I'm going to open up my presentation. Now, a lot of people go, ooh, when they see somebody trying to do something live on a presentation. So I'm going to be doing something live today, so, ooh, yeah, okay. So give me a second here. I'm going to bump out of this little presentation. All right, so just a little breakdown what Dynamo is. Dynamo is a node-based program that you can do visual programming in to create lots of fun. So I decided, why not program my presentation? So we decided to create a PowerPoint slideshow using Dynamo so that we can present you some Dynamo scripts. So all we did here is we took some information from a directory path, plugged it into a contents node, and then have it reading automatically to the images within a folder. So this same application we were going to do as an Autodesk University presentation for doing dance forms on generative design, to be able to take quick bursts and snapshots of somebody's dance moves and then convert them into building mass forms. So same sort of application, but a very watered down version. Autodesk didn't pick me for that presentation, so just saying.
Next year.
Yeah, next year. Okay, so all this is doing, I've got my slides sitting here. First one being 0, so sorry it's small, but that's what we get. Woohoo! All right, so a little bit about the speaker. I, Dennis Dixon, live in Guelph, North America, Earth, so that's where I reside. I ran a custom home design firm for 10 years. In that design firm, we made a mandate not to do any printing, not to do any traveling, not to do everything. Everything was cloud-based, so the whole idea of digitization was first and foremost. So we took those practices, and I shifted over to WZMH Architects as a senior BIM manager. So from there, I've been known to sleep with a copy of Revit 4.0 in my bed because I love Revit, and it's special to me. Don't tell my wife. I first used Dynamo in 2012, so I then at that point scratched my head, took a year off, and came back to use it again in 2013 because it was very difficult. I have 2 kids, a wife, dog, cat, and 6 hours of commute that I need Dynamo to program for me because it's a lot. So hopefully we can, deal with that. But the biggest thing, I've had the privilege to train companies all over North America. Companies ranging from Valencia College, HNTB Architecture, Disney's Imagineering team, and a variety of other companies, which is super fun. And I absolutely love the AEC community. So what I'm about to show you today is to help really increase the breadth of experience for those who are just starting out. But I even used Dynamo to take a look at the guests that were here. So who is used, who hasn't used, who's part of which industry, and I used that to determine what kind of scripts I would actually bring out today. Woohoo! Awesome. So, number 2. So what we're going to be taking a look at today is we have 10 starter script packs for Dynamo. So one of the biggest hurdles that you're going to get through in your company is AutoCAD to Revit Conversion. So we're going to be talking about that and how we can streamline that process from a 6-month process to a 2-week process. So pretty huge. Text consolidation, we'll be looking at project and shared parameters, how we can deal with those quickly. Language translation, I was like, what? We'll get into that. Renumbering, fixing and editing project work sets. We'll be talking about room to space conversions for the MEP. How many do we have at MEP out here? Well, you're going to learn today. Woohoo! Right in the back. We got it. So we elements by room names, so we can use room names in Revit to be dealing with all this. And just to keep in mind, this is entirely Dynamo for Revit, just so you know. So, and creating topography from text, awesome. And then adding prefixes to levels. All right, so let's dive into this madness. All right, so everyone in this room is going to walk away after today with these free scripts. So you'll get to take them back and rework them and make them better than the ones I have in there, hopefully. So you can use them in any way or form you want. So when converting imported CAD to Revit, so the idea behind this is that we can map all the line types to from Revit line types to your CAD line types. So whatever your CAD standards are, we map them, they convert them without ever having to explode your CAD file. So the best part is you can import your CAD file, run these scripts, and it takes in your lines, your text, your hatch patterns, and saves you from 85% of the work that you need to do when taking details from CAD to Revit. Huge. Okay. And you can deal with that. Yay, no more. It will take too long to convert our details, so we'll just leave them in CAD and work in CAD forever. So we're going to try and not do that. No more excuses from the partners anymore. You can be like, I can convert this. We can work entirely in Revit. Awesome. Okay, so just looking at that briefly. So if you see here, only one of the CAD layers were drawn according to company standards. So when I ran the script, you'll see that little rectangle up at the top right there. That was the only line that was converted out of that AutoCAD import. So this is really enforcing the fact that companies have to really focus on their standards in AutoCAD. And this will also be a good buffer for you. You can use the same application to actually test whether or not people are using your standards in AutoCAD. So you could actually run this through here, and if a line doesn't show up, you'd be like, whoa, what's going on here? From a CAD management standpoint, awesome. So lots of really cool stuff in there. Next one we're going to look at is text consolidation. So for those of you who are CAD exploding people who love just completely annihilating CAD files in your Revit view, it happens, but if it does happen, and if you do have kinds of text that are floating around, we can now consolidate those individual lines of text into one text box. So you can use this quite often in your workflow for anybody across any division. So looking at this, you basically take your script, you select all the text that's in there, you pick the top text, and it'll convert it all into one text box. So it takes all of it, puts it into one usable one. This can be highly annoying, but very fast to work with. Okay. All right, project and shared parameters. This is huge on infrastructure projects. So those of you who have dealt with PSOS documents or giant documents coming from hospitals or any sort of government-related projects, you get a giant document with about 170 to almost up to 600 different requirements in that building that all have to be loaded into Revit. Well, let's speed that process up. We can actually generate the shared parameters and project parameters almost instantly from an Excel spreadsheet. So we can drive those in and have them create and link together. So the script that we'll be showing you, or basically as part of this package, it gives you two options. So the cool thing is you can actually, if you see up there, you can edit and use existing project parameters to create new shared parameters. So if there's existing ones, you can just hit play. It'll generate shared parameters from those existing ones. The other one is new shared parameters from a program. So if you do get that program from an individual that is in the hospital industry or something like that, plug the program in, brand new shared parameters created. The same thing goes for project parameters. And then what I did is I built in an actual function in there that is a switch. So if you want to use either option, you can just say true for the option 1, false for option 2. That way you don't have to leave them out of there. You can have a lot of fun at once. Cool. Woo! It is hot. Maybe I shouldn't be wearing all of this this gear. I was sick yesterday, so if any of you shook my hand, I'm sorry. Yeah, they're all checking their hands right now. Okay, so language translation. This was a huge one. We work in a bilingual society, so translating language is a very, very big thing. So what we have done is we've taken a Dynamo script that can extract every text out of rooms, levels, text notes, whatever you want out of a Revit project, convert it into a column inside of Google Sheets, and then take the Google Sheet translation that comes out of there and reinsert it back. Now this one puts the actual translation beside it with a slash, so you can actually have English and French in the same file if you want. And then, yeah, so you can swap it out with any language that you want in Google Sheets. You just need somebody who speaks that language to verify that they're all in the right designation, because you know how Google Translate works. If you go through it a number of times, it could be pretty funny. Yeah. But this will help speed things up greatly. We've used it a few times. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that once, like, you essentially have to stop the project in its tracks, run it, and then they can continue working on the project. Because if they change a bunch of text in the project while you're doing the translation, then the words might be out. So just keep that in mind. But here's an example. So literally takes the left-hand side out of Revit, puts it into the right-hand side, and then uses the script to convert it all inside of Revit. Cool. This process takes a long time in projects. So this is the whole point. All of these scripts are introductory, so the idea is to be able to use out-of-the-box nodes and packages without using any Python scripting. So these ones are meant for starting out, because when you do a Dynamo implementation, for instance, like in our company, WZMH, well, Dynamo is fairly fresh to a lot of people in the company. So putting in Python scripting and doing a lot of those intricate Python workflows can be difficult for new users. So as they start getting more and more inclined, we start giving them a taste of something more, a little heavy. And that's, but for now, out of the box, all of these are out of the box. So renumbering. I'm giving you 3 renumbering scripts in here. So we have view renumber, room renumber, and I think level renumber or something like that. But they are, the reason I chose these is because there are 3 different ways of dealing with renumbering. First way would be renumber by selection range. So you can actually select some items and you can renumber according to that. First one is renumber by location and renumber by list. So all of these 3 different ways we can use in many scripts, all kinds of fun things. So when you look at something like this, you basically go into the script. You can say, choose which level you are editing the room numbers for, and then choose the room number of which you want to insert. So if you've ever had to deal with room numbers, since the majority of you are architects in here, if you've ever been on a floor with 700 rooms, and then somebody asks you, can you add room 102? And you're like, and you've had to manually go into each room and add the number in, and it says room number's already taken, you have to renumber? Yeah. So what this does is it actually places a fake digit at the end to fake the names for all of, or numbers for all of them, and then it reruns them all again with a +1. So it can actually insert it and then renumber everything after with one shot. So it does it with just and you literally just hit play. You just go in and go, gone. And all of these are Dynamo play ready. So for those of your people in the company who don't know Dynamo but want to get into it, easy to run. All right, zoom out here. Work sets. Oh, I love this one. This is something we should have had in AutoCAD, but we couldn't because it didn't know what lines were what. So now that we're in Revit and we have categories and types, we have all kinds of cool things we can work with. The first one will generate the company standard naming convention for work sets. And wait until you see how easy this actually is. But you can literally say when somebody starts up a project, clicks on the work sets button, hits OK, they just go up to the script, hit play. And all your work sets are done, named the exact way they should be for your file. So from BIM manager's standpoint, that's awesome. And then the second script, my favorite, is the one that will seek through the entire file for certain types, family types, and categorize them into their correct work sets. So we no longer need anyone in the office to put anything on the right work set. Whoa, that's awesome. Yeah, I know. Now, if they're in groups, then yeah, you got a problem. But groups. Okay, all right. So this is the idea. So you take a look at this first one, you're like, whoa, that's it. This is the work sets one. You literally just take your work sets, hit play, right into work set by name. You log that away, and then you put that as a Dynamo play script, and someone just comes in and hits play. They don't even have to think about it. So that way your work sets are always company standard. This applies to so many different applications. If you have standards that you want to keep, this is a good way to do it. And then the other one, oh, I take that back, not quite as easy. If you're going to be doing the work sets one, you have to do some planning. So if you're an MEP or structure or architecture, take some time to go through, take a look at your naming conventions and your types, and organize it accordingly. I have stripped a lot out of this one just because of NDA, but it left the basics in here. You can work with it how you see fit. So you can expand on it, take away some things, but the basics are here. So this is going to save you so much of a headache. Actually, Jonathan Gibb, one of the people in the audience, has spent an entire day working on putting things on the right work set, and I made this right after. So, yeah, because that's how I roll. Yeah. All right. So, room to space conversions. MEP consultants will love this. They get a file from the architect. Then they have to start placing spaces in their project. And then from there, they have to generate the rooms the room names and room numbers into their spaces. Don't have to do that anymore. This script, all it'll do is you click on the linked file and hit play. And it'll take all of the rooms, find the insertion points for all of the rooms, insert spaces into those insertion points, find the room names that are in the architectural files room, and insert them into the spaces. So in one shot, it actually takes care of spaces for the entire mechanical file. Wow, I love it. This is so awesome. Where was Dynamo earlier on? Oh, it's so cool. I mean, this is the whole point of Dynamo, right? Is to help increase efficiency, but also to take the least amount of time possible to get there. And that's why visual programming is so important. That's why when you start getting into doing Python, if you can do it, power to you. You're going to get to do some really cool stuff, or JSON and all that other fun stuff. But anyway, this is really cool for the MEP consultants because it takes a long time to copy monitor things in and be able to make things work accordingly. Okay. System families by room name. So there's all kinds of things you can do. So if you have rooms in your project, if you're in architecture, you do. They're there, or you should be using them. The boundaries, the sizes, the shapes, everything that has to do with rooms, you can take an advantage of those. One of those things is creating floors. So if you work in the residential area, you can find room names that have ensuite, kitchen, living room, whatever it might be. And it'll find the boundaries for those rooms, generate a floor at a certain level, and throughout your entire project. So I separated this into levels, just so you know. So when we look at this, you can pick the level that you're on, you pick your floor type, you pick the height of the finished floor from subfloor, and then you choose the room name that goes with it, and you hit play. And it'll generate, according to your floor type, all the rooms, or all the floors. Pretty cool. So this same application can be used for, let's say you have a room that has a bunch of furniture in it. You haven't done any of your naming yet. You placed all your furniture, done your layouts, you haven't done any rooms in your project at all. Well, what if you could actually just take that and then find all the furniture sets inside rooms and name them according to those furniture sets? Pretty cool, and vice versa. All right, I'm almost wrapped up here, but at the end here, we've got topo points. So we can actually, many of us get surveys from our consultants, and they are flat. They're flat. And it's so hard to work with. But the elevation points that come in those files are actual numbers that we can use. So remember that CAD conversion script that we got before? Well, we can extract the text out of it into Revit, into the exact same location where they are, and then when you run this script, it'll send it out to CSV. There's also a node down here for version 1 if you want to just make a topo from it, but there's some glitches with the topo, so it does work 100% of the time if you use the CSV method. So it'll find the text, it'll read the elevation inside the text, and use the XY coordinates of them to position your lat and long. Pretty cool stuff. And then it'll auto-generate a topography from that. So you don't have to worry about 2D stuff anymore. Awesome. And the very last thing here. So quick edits. The biggest thing with Dynamo is understanding the get, fill, set combination. So what I mean by that, and I'm just going to skip right here. So one of the most common scripts that you're going to be using quite frequently is your get, fill, set combination. Get parameter, fill in the requirements, set. So if you are new to Dynamo, do as many of these as you can. Learn the if formulas, learn the strings, learn everything that you can. And then keep doing variations of this, and you'll find that a lot of your biggest efficiencies will come from using this. So you get your elements, get the parameters that are in them, change them around, and set them in your project. This same application you can teach back to the individuals at your office to get them started into it. This was the easiest way for them to learn. Okay, and very last, I showed you some of the basic stuff that you can get started with. This is the intent. We want to start simple and work our way into something more complicated. So when you're getting people on board, this is the way to go about it. So if we look at it, we can create topo from images. So you can do your own photogrammetry within Dynamo. You can do custom structural ordination, so you can actually modify according to rules and regulations. So things like this, which are automated. If you have any questions regarding the really complicated stuff and how to get to some things done, just DM me on LinkedIn. I'll be able to help out. But hopefully this has been informative. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. Message us after. We'll hook you up with all these scripts. And if you have some questions about anything more, I'm here to help because I want to help our community grow. Thank you very much, everyone.